Hi everybody, it's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. We'll start with our headline. Crystal ball reading, 10-year note yield and S&P 500 will follow Bitcoin lower. Bitcoin has been acting as a leader of the stock market and it dropped over 2% today. Bitcoin on last Thursday reached this orange line, which has apparently acted as a rejection line, a line of resistance. This orange line dates back to the top of 2017 and touches the tops of 2021 and 2024. A rejection at this level is not something that the bulls were looking for. In fact, this line was starting, the orange line here was starting to look a bit more arbitrary, but this rejection, a strong rejection to the downside, not even a weak one, suggests that maybe the bears may be taking control over this and Bitcoin may be headed lower. Many traders were looking at least to maybe reach up to this line that we had formed from the two highest highs that we've seen, Monday, July 14th to the August 14th high. We were thinking, hey, could we reach up there and maybe even break higher from there? That was sort of the bull case, and no. It does appear Bitcoin is headed now down to this white line here, representing around 110,000. And if this level doesn't hold, holy mackerel, what do we have here but a pretty large head and shoulders top, which could send Bitcoin much more aggressively to the downside. It looks like a very bearish setup right now, and it seems to be playing towards that direction, at least for today. And this is all while the S&P 500 is closing at an all-time high today. Without Bitcoin finding a highest high, it's likely, in my opinion, that this will get rejected. After all, the only reason that the S&P 500 was able to close at an all-time high was on the back of Nvidia and Apple going up an amazing 4%, along with Oracle up 6%, all while some of the other mega caps moved a little less. When we take a look at the S&P 500 equal weight, we actually went down a little bit today, and the advanced decline line essentially going flat. I also think in my crystal ball and all that the 10-year Treasury note yield will also be falling over here because we're losing momentum to the upside. Just from a little chart standpoint, going up like this and consolidating, we have a rising wedge apparently forming, which is, it's saying that it's very likely to break to the downside. I said in last week's show, I'm expecting the 10-year to get rejected and go back down. I'm still holding that belief. There's not a ton of other charts to look at today, but we will go through them momentarily. Community topics. Name something you think is undervalued in the comments. What is something that you think is currently undervalued? Japanese yen, the dollar, gold, silver, some stocks, or some kind of crypto? What do you think? Comment below. Coming up tomorrow, we have PMIs that gives us an idea of how good the economy is actually doing. And then Friday, we get a taste of the personal consumption expenditures. What is happening with inflation? Are people having to pay more and more for stuff or not? What's the details on that? And as always, tariff updates. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and supporting. I've been really appreciating a lot of the comments lately. I know I got a comment recently saying fix your camera. I did some more. Thank you for that comment. I hope this is a better setup. I had some of the settings that were messed up too. Again, I'm on a new computer that I built. I think this should work, and thank you so much for the support. I've been getting lots of support from you guys, and I appreciate it very much. Last thing before the charts, crystal ball readings remain the same. And see my website link in the description to see my overall daily reminders, macro views, and portfolio explained. On to the charts. SPX S&P 500, there's no other way to put it. We're up to all-time highs. Again, this is on the back of a few of the mega caps, overall, I see more red than green, although the advanced decline line was flat. So I guess more gray than anything else, maybe. I also want to mention that it is fascinating and very frightening to see times like this when the stock market is so incredibly overvalued, when you have so much market cap of companies put into growth. This typically can happen in two scenarios. Funny enough, when you have big moves like this, 4% in one day, it can happen when things are terribly, terribly mispriced to the undervalued side. So, when you can have something double in a week because it's gotten beaten down so far, you don't see these kinds of moves at like healthy valuations. And then on the other end of it, when you have so much growth priced in, it's like it's so impossible to properly price, well, how much should this company really be worth, when such a huge portion of the price is assumed growth. That's what can happen. You can have some of the biggest companies in the world moving 4% in a day when we're very clearly in a bubble, and more people are finally starting to recognize this. And important side note, you never know how big bubbles can get before they pop. Moving on, I want to bring up crude oil today because we kind of hit a trend line that we're sort of developing on to the underside, starting in August 17th, hitting again September 5th, and then hitting it again today. This is one of those things where, the more times that we hit it, the more likely it is that we'll eventually break to the downside. And if that does happen, it suggests pretty clearly that yes, the economy is falling apart, and that gives also weight to the idea that yields are also heading lower, longer yields, like the 10-year and beyond. The real $1,000,000 question here is, how is the Fed going to deal with a slowing economy, things falling apart, and inflation still remaining high? They're going to have to be dovish, but with restraint. They're going to have some hawkishness, and I think the hawkishness is going to end up playing out to the point where it's going to we'll be in a situation where the Fed's not cutting fast enough to save the economy. I still think that that's what's coming here, but again, just a crystal ball rating. Next up, gold, going up by 1.7%. How high can gold go? I'm going to steal Gareth Soloway's chart here. And he talked about it on his show. If you don't know about him on Verified Investing, better chartist than me. I like listening to him. But anyway, he is looking at a potential target, he says, of around 5,000, I think. It's when you take a parallel from the 1976 low and these lows in 2000, and then drag it up to the high in 1980. And then if this is a logarithmic chart, by the way, and so that could suggest that we're headed up to almost 5,000 in gold at this point. Personally, I don't think we're getting there. I think gold is in a bubble. I think part of my reasoning that I don't think we'll actually get to the 5,000 mark is that, a lot of the traders, a lot of people that got hurt by gold in the 1980s, they're still alive today. They remember the 1980s. I don't think that gold is going to... I think once gold does start to show any kind of weakness, it's going to go down harder and faster than most other people think. But hey, it's all a bit of guesswork. Either way about it, if we do reach up to that $5,000 mark and the market interprets it as being, in a similar situation to 1980, well, look at what happened after 1980. We went down for 20 years in nominal price, not even, inflation adjusted. Just to get back up to the nominal price, you had to wait, 30 years. And then for inflation adjusted, you had to wait longer before, feeling like your gold in 1980 purchase, gave you any kind of advantage. Anyway, moving on. Silver also making new highs we haven't seen in a long time, $44. Quick reminder, copper is not seeing all-time highs. It's still in a bear flag, and the copper to gold ratio has never been lower. Copper's never been cheaper compared to gold. So bigger point is not all metals are going to the moon right now. And then the last notable chart for me for today was Total 2. This is total crypto market cap minus Bitcoin. Had a very large drop today. We're sitting right now at almost a 5% loss. We were earlier today even at a greater loss. It's not hard for me to imagine risk assets plummeting from here, but hey, I'm just a guy with a crystal ball. And that's all from me and my crystal ball. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Robschild.